Hi, this is Kathy. Thought I would show you a little bit about loom knitting today. I'm going to do round looms, and another time we can talk about the long looms. But I have two different stitches I wanted to show you. There are different sizes. This one you could use to make a a double layer scarf, and that would be nice and thick. Or you could make a little tiny hat for a baby. The biggest one, this one you can use for adult size hats. And don't worry, they come out a little smaller than this looks, so it does fit a human head. But another thing about round looms is they can actually make flat pieces too. You don't have to make something round. If you just don't do the last two pegs, you can go around this far, then back up and go around this way, and just keep going back and forth, and you can have a big flat piece. So the round looms will serve a lot of different purposes if that's all you would like to get or work with. I have two different kinds of stitches here. You can see these bottom stitches are very tight. They make a very dense fabric, and that one is maybe the simplest stitch to do, but it also takes a lot longer because, as you can see, the rows only grow as wide as the yarn is. Whereas this stitch, which is almost as easy, will grow as fast as the length of the loop. So it's more open, it's lacier, but it's a lot quicker. So you can fill in the gaps if you want to make it a thicker fabric. You can use two strands of yarn at the same time. You can make them different colors if you want to make a kind of a tweed effect, but that would work. Let me show you the two different stitches. What I do is I run a yarn through an empty ink pen holder. For something with this width here, this is a little thick for getting through here. You could use a straw like that if you can find a sturdy straw. I didn't shorten this because you always get a ragged edge and it drags on the yarn. Or you could use something like this, and this narrower opening goes through here just beautifully. I just didn't think of finding this one before I put the yarn through, but this will work. What I do is I'm going to do an Ewrap. The yarn has to always go on the inside of the loop, so don't go on the outside of the pegs. Don't do that. Not for this Ewrap stitch. You go past the peg and around, past the peg and around, and you just keep doing that so the running yarn is on the inside and you're looping around the pegs. Don't hold this tight. If you make your stitches too tight, you can snap a peg when you're trying to put the bottom stitch over the top stitch. You're going to start with 2 rows. Every single time you do this, you'll have 2 rows on a peg. And if it's too loose, these will all spring right off of the pegs. And if it's too tight, you won't be able to work it easily. So kind of get a nice flow, just a little bit of tension, but not too much. And this anchor peg here is for wrapping around to hold the yarn down. And then I'm going to take my pick, which I have adapted, and you take the bottom loop over the top loop. And this was the last one I did when I wrapped it. Now that's anchored down and these will not spring loose. So that's one of the tricks I've learned. You just keep going around like this. Keep going around, pull the bottom over the top. just easy. See, I haven't pulled them tight, and it's very simple to put the bottom loop over the top loop. This is like knitting, so if one of the stitches gets away from you, it will unravel just like knitting. So be careful to just get the bottom loop and leave the top one on, and then mash this down. There. And now it's ready to do the next row of stitches. Now the other one, this tight bottom weave that I have down here, I'm going to show you how that looks. Let's see, we're going this way. Okay. What you do for that is you just hold the yarn on the outside. Do not, absolutely do not hold it tight. Because what you're going to do is put this over that, but this has to have room to make itself another loop. If you have it tight, then the next one you're going to be snapping pegs because it'll be too hard to push this over. Don't put any tension on it at all. Just go over it like this. Just put these over, and you see how it's wrapping around. I'm giving it room to wrap around the peg. Don't hold it tight. And you can do that for a number of rounds until you have as much as you want. It might make a nice cuff for maybe a mitten or something. That might, and since it's shrunken, a little more shrunken than this part, that might make a nice cuff. So that's 2 stitches. When you get your instructions that come with these loops, these hoops, the looms, you will not get a lot of different kinds of stitches. And if you give me 1 second to finish this row, I'll tell you about that. Just easy. I'm just kind of, I have my hand here to hold it onto the loom. I am not putting any pressure on that yarn at all. Just 1 row, almost done here. Alright, that was our wraparound stitch. There are actually stitches you can do that look just like knitting and purling, and you can even make patterns and designs on here with the knit and purl stitches, but that's kind of like a do this and then bring this one around, this one, and I don't know, it's a little more involved, and I haven't ever properly learned that, but I know these two. And you can learn to do more things. Nifty Knitter, these loom sets come with a set of instructions. This one section here is in English. The rest here's German and French and Spanish. So this much of it will be good for you to learn how to do a hat on a round loom. If you want to do more things or get more ideas, you can buy pattern books like this. And see, here's a double crochet. Oh, well, panels for knitting. Here are different brims and cuffs, how to do a gather stitch at the top, how to add stripes, different things. This one is still a pretty simple instruction book. Here's golf club covers. And they tell you different ways. Here's a flat piece done on a round loom. You can do cable stitches on here. They'll teach you how to do that. Pretty things you can do with these. It doesn't have to be plain and ordinary at all if you have the patience and you want to play with it a little. And then here are some more projects, not just a plain hat like this, but you can do the berets, and you can do shawls, and you can do purses and belts. You can do fancier patterns if you wish. And I looked on Overdrive and Hoopla. And Hoopla has several books, and anybody can take them out at any time. You don't have to wait or put a hold on it. And Overdrive has 2 books that are both available at this moment, first come, first serve. So I hope that helps you a little bit with these kind of looms. You will need to have some kind of a yarn needle for finishing anything off. You can gather them, like making a little thing like this for a hat top, or you can, if you're making a scarf, you can just sew the ends together and make a flat piece like that. So those are some ideas. I hope that helps you, and have a good time with your yarn and stay safe. Thank you. Bye.